the economic background of your family will greatly impact what you become, how you become, when you become.
That's so true.
But the movies, the stories that are celebrated can make you think that,
there's something wrong that I'm doing.
Yes, there's something wrong that I'm doing, when you're forgetting
Why
that you're
I'm not
actually
able to be a
you're
success
actually
in this.
stuck in something very systemic that is bigger than you.
Bigger than you.
And those are anomalies that break free. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. So excited with the growth that is happening. TCC family keeps growing and growing and growing. And I'm loving the love that we're getting off TikTok. I've said it before.
Yes.
TikTok is a special platform.
It is.
If you're listening to us from TikTok, please make sure that you also, or rather don't forget to subscribe on
Yes,
YouTube.
move on to YouTube as well.
Yeah.
But we're loving it.
We're loving it. Thank you so much for sharing. I actually, twice this week, I saw the conversation being shared in WhatsApp groups. So somebody in a WhatsApp group that had me on WhatsApp took a screenshot to say, hey, somebody just shared your video to spark a conversation. And I was like, this is nice. So even things that, we aren't seeing. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on and on. It is Q&A. After Q&A, we're going to be getting into... Bonga, did I greet you?
You did.
I did not greet you. Hi, Bonga. How are you doing? Hey. The voice of reason, as always, Bonga Poeta. My name is also Ursula Mariani. So we're going to be going into Q&A, and then after that, we're going to be chatting all things.
Yeah, we're going to talk about who has the responsibility for preventing pregnancy.
Yes, this is just building on that YouTube short that we released, or actually episode that we released, and then we took a short off of it, just talking about that man, and then the debate was he needs to get a vasectomy. Yes. Why didn't he get a vasectomy? Blah, 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 blah. So if you haven't seen it, scroll back to our other videos and you can understand where the discussion is coming from. So we're going to look at who is the onus on to prevent for having babies. This is an interesting discussion.
It is.
And the fact that we're having it says that we're quite progressive, because I think historically it's always been
women,
the responsibility of women.
Yes.
Now we're at a place where we can say no. Why isn't the man taking contraceptives? Oh
why are you having unprotected sex?
I love it. Yeah.
So Sarah M. Mofokeng says, this is on the episode to do with, can a person become a reformed abuser? Sarah M. Mofokeng says, my abuser abused over 30 plus girls. Even still after that, he showed no remorse whatsoever. To this day, he is still in trial. It's been over 5 years. All he is doing is denying the allegations. Because he has money to pay for a defense attorney, 30 young girls have to face secondary trauma by breaking their silence and being asked to validate their truth in front of their perpetrator. When I took the stand, I was asked to demonstrate how he took out my panties while he was on top of me. So for me personally, I don't think you can be a reformed abuser. Somehow you'll always be triggered to feed your urge to inflict others with pain. So there's two parts to this comment.
Sure.
Firstly, it's the one of being able to afford the processes of maybe poking holes or just going through the process of proving these allegations to be true or not. Then there's the part of saying the secondary trauma of victims. So in when it comes to having money, I think that's generally what happens with our justice system in South Africa. If you have the finances, you can get through a lot of things. I think that's why, just to digress a bit, that's why social media has been so important in keeping these institutions accountable. There are some cases that would have never made the headlines that they made if there weren't people pushing for them to be taken seriously.
And I just feel like, our justice system fails us. Even there should be some kind of restrictions that, like, I think in law movies they call it badgering the witness. Surely that should be included in that. I don't know.
That's very sensitive.
Yeah, that is semi on the badgering side,
yes.
Don't you think? I don't know.
Definitely. And to have to face your perpetrator.
And then now, but it's also just recanting the story.
Yes.
Even now, even if it's not rape or something, there's some stories that are just painful to tell. Somebody says, why didn't you tell me? Because it's actually quite a difficult experience to talk about it every single time. So how much more when it's something as invasive as rape?
And to have to replay that, and I can imagine, she says it's been going on for 5 years. So how many people have had to go through that?
Yes.
And it's almost like
and
saying...
you end up just like... Ugh.
a lot of people end up in that
Yeah.
position where they just give up.
Yeah, where they
Or
actually
it's
tire
not
you.
worth pursuing.
Yes.
How many of us have taken a case to the police and were like, actually, this is not worth it.
I'm tired.
Yeah, let me just go and get therapy and move on.
I was robbed recently. They broke into the car and they stole the laptop. And firstly, the first police station I went to said, I need the serial number of the laptop. Excuse me? Where the hell am I going to
Get
get that?
traumatized.
I get sharp. I just got I just got robbed,
Yes.
right? And now I'm standing here. It's late at night, and you're just like, "Ma'am, please leave if you don't have the serial." And then I said to him, "Where would you put the serial number to your phone? Is that like?" He's like, "Yeah, it's standard practice. Otherwise, I can't open the case." I then drive off. I go to the next police station, and they open it for me. Then the guy, doesn't end up getting to. He says he calls me. The investigating officer says to me, "This is a true story. This happened to me." He calls me and he says, "Get the CCTV footage."
Hey, Baton.
I said, "Me? I must get the CCTV footage." I'm laughing, but it is laughable how our justice system absolutely fails us. And then you go through all these barriers. By the time,
You're exhausted. It's just not worth it for your mental health.
I also was just at a place where, like, you're never going to find the laptop, sir. Let's stop pretending.
Yes.
Let's move on with our lives. That's the conclusion you have to reach. Anyway.
And then Noluntu says, what has always baffled me is how one man can be two different people, rather two different men to different women. He may beat the ex-wife but honor current wife. So yes, abusers can reform. Just sucks to be his surviving victim.
Yeah, and maybe not even in the sense of beating, but you can just imagine somebody that just dogged you out goes on to be somebody else's hero in their story. They always say you're the hero and the villain in somebody else's story, the hero in somebody else's story.
Yes.
And watching somebody who's the villain in your story be the hero to other people is quite a traumatic experience in itself.
There was another comment, I just can't find it now, but I read it, and the person was asking, what about women who have to interact with their former abusers because of their
the
kids?
Child. Yes. So a man who was beating me is also my baby daddy.
Yes, and I
now
can't
have
stop him.
Yeah, I can't
from
stop
being
him.
a dad.
He needs to meet with the child. And then she says, but nobody does that. I remember the comment. So the comment says, but nobody does that to children. If a child is being abused, we make sure that you never have to see your abuser again. But women are not afforded that privilege because you're a grown adult and you need to interact with your baby daddy. At the end of the day, you need to interact with your baby daddy. Whether he beat you to a pulp, whether he beat you half to it, you need to interact with your baby daddy. He wants to see his child.
That blew my mind because I also never thought of it. Thought about it.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it.
But it's
and I'm sure
comments.
there's so many
people that
can relate
to that.
men and women.
Yes.
And not just physical abuse, but emotional abuse as well.
Yes. Somebody you would love to cut out of your life, but you cannot. What about even people that get raped by family members?
And they're protected by the family, so there's no justice that you receive, and you have to face this person each and every time.
I remember Dave Chappelle in one of his specials makes a joke of being like raped by Michael Jackson, and then it comes across as quite crass, and then he says, guys, some of us, like, we have to see the people that raped us at like family gatherings. Like, basically he says it could be worse.
Yes.
And I remember just listening to that, like, oh, bad joke to make. But I understood the point that he was trying to drive home, that this is the reality for many people.
And it is. It is, especially because there are families that coddle and protect because of various reasons that are known to them.
I even remember a very close story where somebody was being, abused by the uncle, and went to the mom, but he recounts the story now as an adult, but speaking of when he was a child. And the mom said, we don't have a home. What are you trying to do to us?
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Right?
Yes.
And now this burden was on this 9-year-old child. Like, Mom is doing this to me.
But where will we go?
And Mom is saying, okay, so what do you want me to do? We're living in his house. We don't have a home. Right?
And for a parent to have to make that choice.
Yo, Mara, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we can say,
because we've never been in that situation.
Until we're in those shoes, yeah. But honestly, it feels like it should be an easy choice to make.
My child.
Yeah,
it feels like, but you never know. We've never been in those. You never know.
And then Zami Z says reform is definitely possible, but those perps must make sure that they have accrued to themselves an eternal cross to bear, because they now need to earn back societal acceptance over and over again.
What about in the instances where somebody's been falsely accused? I watched a movie yesterday with Sandra Bullock, Unforgivable. She comes out of prison and she's struggling to reintegrate into society because she's been labeled as a cop killer. Towards the end of the movie, you realize that she was actually put into prison not wrongfully. She took the blame for her little sister, who was only 5, who accidentally shot the police officer. Very interesting movie. I know I just ruined it for you guys, but go watch it still. It's quite nice. And that brought me back to how difficult is it to firstly reintegrate into society as Lepantiti, and then how much more when you didn't do it. How much more when you didn't do it.
Because now you're battling the thing, I didn't do this thing.
Yeah.
But everyone thinks I did this thing. So I have to work
and I have to carry this cross.
Yes.
You know, at some point in the movie, she breaks down and she says, I did the 20 years. I did it. Like, basically, when does this label
go away?
I did it.
Woo. And then Tulim Simang alludes to what you're saying in that she says, hello, ladies. I think people can be reformed, abusers, addicts, and criminals. I think it's important to allow people to evolve and live their lives free from the stigma of the negative things that they may have done in the past. This, of course, applies to someone who is genuinely remorseful and has done the work to heal the demons that made them lash out using violence and other forms of abuse. I'm curious if you have the same views regarding cancel culture, because it is quite similar. Thanks for the interactive content. Really enjoyed it.
As soon as I saw that, I did definitely think, because my views on cancel culture are exactly that. Like, what, school somebody, don't cancel them.
Yes. Because there's views that you had a few years ago.
and that you're also learning new views as you go along, and you grow, and we're all learning all the time.
Yeah.
So as soon as I heard that, I was like, I guess it is the same perspective.
I think for me the difference is the one is a thought. Like cancel culture is usually you wrote something problematic, yes. So for me it's easy to make the decision to say we evolve, we learn, we become different people.
How come you don't offer that same grace to abusers?
Because this was some of these crimes were like physical crime, like you raped, you killed someone, it's different. I don't know, somehow it feels different for me. Because this other one is a view. You haven't done anything to anyone really. Okay, maybe views are very problematic, and maybe if you have particular reach, your views can have a very dangerous impact, or a snowballing effect. However, it's a view. It's still on paper, it's still on social media and so forth. But when it comes to abuse for me, or not abuse, but criminal acts that got you into prison, it's a bit difficult.
But then at which point do we say that, I mean, the whole idea behind jail is to rehabilitate, even though that hasn't become that, because we've accepted that most people come out worse for being in prison. They learn more ways to do criminal activities, and they become harder for being in prison. So the part of prison being rehabilitation facility is very questionable, especially in our country.
Yes.
And in many countries. There's actually that Netflix documentary on prisons.
Yes.
And there are a few countries that get it right.
Yeah.
They manage to actually rehabilitate people and reintegrate them into society. But for me, it goes back to...
When? Like you say in the movie, I did my 20 years.
Yes. At which point do we say...
So, on the comment, Yatuli, I'm thinking to myself, what is remorseful?
Okay.
How are we going to say, now I shame you show who you're remorseful? How do we even measure that? To say, because it's not the onus, especially it's not on us as it's on us as the community, but when does the victim say, I know? Because do they ever step away from the trauma you gave them, Bona?
What do you mean?
Like, do they ever have a chance to say he's remorseful, I've removed, because it sticks with them forever?
Yes.
So how do you say you're remorseful when I have this thing forever?
Yes. I hear you. Like, okay, so you're remorseful, but I still have nightmares, and I carry this thing.
I'm still scared to walk alone. I'm still scared to do this. I'm still scared to do that.
It's a difficult concept. I don't think there's a black or a white answer for it.
And another thing that Chili says is that someone who is genuinely remorseful and has done the work to heal the demons that made them lash out using violence. This is a lot of... I want us to discuss this because this is a view a lot of people share. People believe violence is not... You're not just being... You remember when we had the conversation on rape? Someone will say it's because they are seeing sexy legs or they're seeing what, but no, it's because you're a rapist.
Yes.
So this demon conversation, is there a demon really? Or is this person just violent? Because Twilly says... don't
you think it's the way somebody's raised?
Out using violence, and it says to heal the demons. It's as if you are doing that because there's something.
No, but I understood in the sense that nobody comes out being this violent person.
Just in jail.
It's a taught or learned behavior. Or I could be wrong.
But
Maybe.
is it?
Is
because
it?
you have...
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
I
maybe
wonder
need
if it's a nature or nurture type of conversation, because do we have people that had in our heads, because looking from the outside, model or almost the best environment, and they still turned out to be violent criminals?
It is a difficult
wonder.
conversation because I'm even thinking of this Facebook rapist. There's that video that's circulating on TikTok where he says, I mean, I didn't mean to kill it. It was just a normal fight. And in a normal fight, people get stabbed. And you genuinely can see that he means what he's saying.
Yes.
I never think of a fight and I think of a knife. Do you think of a knife when you think? You think of highway, nah?
Yes.
Not even. I don't even raise my voice during a fight.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not that person. So when I saw that video, or maybe he's manipulating the audience or whoever he's speaking to, but I saw his innocence.
Or he genuinely thinks this way.
That this is when there's a fight, there could be a knife involved.
And and that could be a contributing factor, could be environment. You're absolutely right.
That he grew up like that.
Yeah.
Knowing that how sugile.
I think it's okay to accept, and this is how I personally view the world. I think that it's okay to accept, there are people that could be violent because they want to be, and there are people who definitely were impacted by our environment or our
Learned
society.
behavior. I mean, you can imagine if at home you grew up when mom and dad start arguing, one of them breaks the bottle first.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
Or kids who grew up in very violent communities.
Yes.
Or it's normal to be
It's
violent.
normal.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine saying, and this radio, he says, he said, Ursula, these criminals you speak of are boys that I grew up with. These were my friends.
I was actually looking,
And so,
in my heart was broken because I'm looking at people I grew up with become
Yes.
drug addicts.
Yes.
I mean, we're almost we're
such a painful experience.
we are textbook what references in terms of we come from the same environment, almost because almost the same class, almost. So what is it that says this one will go this way, this one will go that way?
Yes. And you even end up thinking there's this one specific. Maybe I shouldn't say this story. No. Maybe he watches this. But I remember just seeing how differently our lives turned out the other day. He was servicing me and. Yes, I've tried to be as inconspicuous as possible. And I've absolutely failed. But basically seeing how our lives just came out so completely different. And I reflected back to when we were kids, and I think it's actually a good thing to wear school uniform because there was no difference. And now, retrospectively, if I looked back from the area that he lived and came from, and I think he was actually even one of the bursary students in the school. You know, there actually was a difference, but because of school uniform, we were all protected and shielded from this. And he was just another boy in class.
Yes.
You know, and just and so in class with the uniform and everything, you're shielded from those gaps and those inequalities, and you know, anyone can become anything at that moment. Anyone, you look at a 7-year-old kid, they could be the next president. You have no idea.
You don't
Possibilities are endless. 25 to 30, you start seeing there's a difference.
Yes.
You kind of know who might become president already.
Yeah.
At that, you know, and it's a painful experience to experience that.
And
actually.
I think it also speaks to our state and its ability to, because the person you're speaking about with the correct resources could have turned out a different way.
Exactly.
Exact resources after post high school, post primary, with a state that is functional,
Yes.
that is supportive of its people. The story could have been totally different.
And the anomalies can make you feel like a failure. The boy who harnessed the wind, the Malawian village boy who's now in what is it called? In Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Who's now in Silicon Valley because he brought electricity to his village, and they made a movie about him and everything.
I saw the movie, yeah.
It's an amazing story, right? There was famine in Malawi, and he managed to bring electricity to his... Is it electricity or water?
Water.
It's water. Water. I've got a Malawi. Oh, by the way, we've got our first paid studio audience. Shell has paid to be.
Shout out.
So, shout out, girl. Shout out. So if you guys want to pay to come to recording days, let us know. And so fine, then, you know, and I watch movies like that. And so you can imagine as an 18-year-old, 16-year-old child watching that, maybe not even 18, 16 it's a bit different, 12-year-old child watching that, it becomes the standard when you don't realize that actually it's an anomaly.
It is.
Vastly. Like, that is a 1 in a billion chance. But the truth is, your surrounding, where you grow up, where you go to school, the economic background of your family will greatly impact what you become, how you become, when you become.
That's so true.
But the movies, the stories that are celebrated can make you think that, oh
There's
no,
something
there's
wrong that I'm
something-
doing.
Yes, there's something wrong that I'm doing. When you're forgetting
Why
that
am
you're
I not
actually
able to be a
you're
success
actually
in this?
stuck in something very systemic that is bigger than you.
Bigger than you.
And those are anomalies that break free. And I see it. I see people that get depression from anomaly stories. Where I'm like, look at the standard. For the standard, you are doing very well.
You're fine.
You know, you're an intern at wherever by the age of 26, and the background you come from says that you're not supposed to be that.
Yes.
So actually, you are
But
doing
the
well.
standard that we are
Exposed
comparing,
to and
yes.
comparing to.
especially in the context that we live in, it's actually ridiculous. Even some of the things we speak about that are expected of men or women and social, I don't want to get into that conversation,
yes.
but you're thinking, how
Yes.
in this country,
Yes.
with this unemployment rate, we expect these and this and this and this from people?
And that's why sometimes it's almost vindicating or validating when you find out that anomaly story actually ki con artist. Actually ki scam. Because you're like, Kichulo, man. Something is wrong. Why is this person...
I could think of a certain doctor.
I didn't say nothing.
Or an actor. There are so many examples in
There's
South
so
Africa.
many examples, and it's bad, but you feel, no wonder, man. I knew I wasn't doing that badly. It's corruption that got them into those places, and we all feel, and that's why we jump onto the stories, because we feel vindicated. You almost feel like, I'm not a loser. Actually, people are just corrupt.
I'm just not well placed.
Yeah.
And then Refilo says, hey ladies, the comment Ursula made about the onus of crime being the victim's fault resonated so deeply with me. It brought on that thought that the sentiment policing is appearing to just be an administrative function instead of a service to prevent and protect. It ends with the victim having overcome the ordeal themselves. Oh my gosh. To claim a new phone from insurance, and the rape victim to deal with the psychological trauma and potentially relived by having to keep encountering the perpetrator, given that people are raped by people they know. This actually alludes to so many parts of our conversation, because we spoke about having to face a perpetrator, and it's so true. It's not just in your family or whatever, but even at home, like in your neighborhood, you could have been raped by someone you know, and you didn't pursue it because of exactly what she's speaking about.
And she says that it's become an administrative function. You're actually you're going to the police station to be a statistic. You're going there to say that this is happening in our country,
and to think
but whether something will be done about it,
even those statistics still, they're not a true reflection, because there's one who literally stood up from whatever and walked back home to deal with what she just said, the psychological trauma. Okay, let me go seek out therapy. And it ends there. She didn't. The person's not a stat.
Yes,
they didn't even become a stat.
Yes, because like now the burden is for you to fix yourself.
Yes,
actually, what's important right now
is fix yourself.
Is I need to fix myself. What's important right now is that I need to get a new laptop. How am I going to do that? What's important right now? Like, what about the person that did this thing? How do we remove them? How do we get them rehabilitated? How do we get them to acknowledge that what they're doing is wrong? You know, and you know what? I don't know if I'm branching off, and I'm so sorry to do this, but I thought about it this week, about the relationship between poverty and crime, and those that are better schooled can actually. But you know, it's always been that, you know, the more poverty-stricken a country is, the higher the crime is.
Yes.
If this is true, guys, and I don't believe it, the poorest country in the world is Malawi, and it's not unsafe. Or one of the poorest at the bottom there. Why? If that is true, you know, I really sat with it, and I said, why?
I wonder, is it the laws? Is it the moral standing?
Is it the moral standing? Yeah. So is it really that, what do they call, proportional?
Yeah.
Poverty goes up. Yeah. Is it a directly, you know, poverty goes up, crime goes up. That's how I've always been taught. But then I thought, no, but then we as South Africa shouldn't be one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Because we're not one of the most poorest. So why? Is this, you know, relationship really? Because for me, I've just always been taught that, they hungry.
Yes.
Are they really?
Are they really?
The guy that stole my laptop, I saw him, he was chunky. He was a well-fed man. He's not hungry. He was fat. Wanja. No. Sorry to make you choke. Trying to make you you know, man. Anyway.
So, cuz you saw them.
Yes. They
How?
even had another car. I was upstairs boxing at the gym. They were
We have a
downstairs.
professional box in the building.
Yeah, professional Leila Ali coming through. Anyway, next thingy.
When I forgot my job. Get her away.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next topic, which was the onus of preventing pregnancy.
Yes. And
Who
we
is
don't
it
have
on?
much time left. Who is the onus of preventing on? So, like I said, reflect back on the previous episodes where we talk about the whole guy feeling, the woman exposing that she trapped her husband who never wanted to have kids by forgetting the pill. And then many people, big capital letters, went on to say vasectomy. Vasectomy was the buzzword that day.
Yes, it was.
He should get a vasectomy. Sure. And the first thing I wanted to check, but my internet wasn't working, is a vasectomy reversible? I believe that it is.
It is, from what I know.
Right? So this is my argument. I'm putting down arguments why I feel like. But I think the onus of not having a baby is on the one who doesn't want to have a baby.
Interesting. Yes.
The onus of the person who doesn't want to have a child is the one that needs to sort it out. So if you're a woman and you don't want to have the child between you and your partner, then you need to make sure that you take the pill, you get an injection, do whatever. If the man is the one that wants to not have the child, then though, very importantly, which is another discussion, and it was quite a few comments, and for some reason, and I won't say it was the platforms, but they kept hiding those comments to say that sex is used for procreation only. Is that?
Hi, guys.
It was like at least 5 comments where people were just like, listen, sex is for procreation. And if you don't want to have a child, you shouldn't be having sex.
On the comment, is vasectomy reversible?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is,
It is.
So
I just Googled.
Actually, the onus
Even
is
if
on
they are the
man.
better one, honestly, just go. The prevention method, they have, some of them, they have hormonal effects on us. They have this
But
and that.
are we saying that vasectomies don't have hormonal effects? Let's not say things that we're not factually sure of.
I actually think they don't. They don't.
You think?
No, they don't.
They don't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, is
They
it?
don't.
How?
They don't. I was actually shocked because remember I have a baby and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this again. I was looking at tubal ligation, tying your tubes.
Yeah.
The hormonal effects. I was shocked.
Are they heavy?
Yeah, but anyway, I digress.
That's because even like a regular contraceptive has huge hormonal effects on you.
So men must take the burden of.
I don't know if that was the conclusion.
No, guys,
For
I'm
me-
just joking.
For me, the conclusion is definitely the one that doesn't want the child take the burden of. And then, no, for me though, please answer this in the comments. Is sex strictly for procreation in your opinion? I love how Bonga has been saying no from the beginning. Like she never once went from the beginning. She's just been like, I
think
understood
yes,
it.
in the bigger scheme of things, it was meant to. Was it meant? Then why would it be nice?
Because then we wouldn't procreate. Do you get what I'm saying, guys? Because then we wouldn't procreate. So I get that, but I think that it's been so,
Now, Asha, there's a lot of things that we have that we don't, that are not nice, that we do. I can't think of them now, but I'm sure they are.
that
are there for a reason.
Like
we
exercising
study. We
and
study
studying.
because we want to do better. We want to this and that. So I think God could have just said, insert, out, insert. It's not nice.
this is actually a question only God can answer. I actually just realized as you said that only God can answer. you know what I mean?
Even I think it's true, like because there is an outcome, like a baby, it's there for procreation, but we can't also ignore the fact that there's
It's an enjoyable
yes,
activity.
And it comes with stress relief.
yes, endorphins, relieves your period pains. There's so many things.
Anyway, that is today's episode of the Conversation Capital. It is the Get Ready With Me episode. If you haven't subscribed, why not? Don't do it. Don't be snacks, huh? Subscribe, like, share, comment. To those that keep, transferring the comments and likes to different platforms like WhatsApp and whatever, we're really grateful. Thank you so much for the love, TCC family. You guys are absolutely amazing. We will catch you guys next week on the next episode of the Conversation Capital.